How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep? How deep? How deep? How deep? How deep? How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep? How deep is your love? How deep? How deep? How deep is your love? Indeed. I feel like moving. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? Yeah. How deep is your love? Woo! Thank you. I felt that one. How deep is your love? Our theme this Black History Month is love. One would think that this is one of the easiest subjects to minister on. But love can be a bit of a challenge because everybody thinks they already know what it is and how to do it. But do we? Wasn't it Tina who asked, what's love got to do with it? Calling it a second-hand emotion. Diana Ross said that she had a love hangover. She must have been hanging out with Beyonce, who said she was drunk in love. Pat Benatar said, love is a battlefield. Sounds like war between the roses to me a little bit there. And of course, the Beatles told us to love, 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 and that love was all we needed. That's great, but I can think of a few other things we need, like air, food, water, and definitely Wi-Fi. It goes without saying, love is one of the most used, misused, abused, and misunderstood words in our lexicon. Even the loveologists and researchers cannot agree on a definition. People casually throw it around as if it were confetti. You know, I love you. No, I love you. I love you more. No, I love you more. What did you say your name was again? The world is desperate for a pure, authentic love. So we better know what it is and how to bring it, folks. Cole Porter inquired, what is this thing called love? Certainly there's no one size fits all when it comes to love. Many of you love through a spiritual lens, seeing it as a divine force beyond just feelings. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13:1 describes love as patient, kind, and selfless, qualities that transcend cultures and beliefs. Likewise, Buddhism's concept of metta refers to goodwill and compassion that is universal. However, most, and you would probably agree, of what we see and hear about love is rather superficial. In my mind, there's only one song that raises the right question, and it's from the Bee Gees, who asked, and we heard it today, how deep is your love? We all got it. The question is, how deep is it? Somebody look at your neighbor and say, how deep is your love? Oh, no. You sounded like you weren't interested in knowing. Would you look at your neighbor and say, how deep is your love? All right, you're with me here, all right. We know that Jesus talked extensively about love, emphasizing it as the foundation of his teachings. in Matthew's gospel, he said to love your God with all of your heart, soul, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Friends, I've got to ask, is your love that deep? Oh, wait a minute. He went further, telling his followers to love their enemies and pray for those who persecute them. A radical departure from the First Testament's eye for an eye mentality. Is your love this deep? Okay, I'm going to keep asking then since you're not answering. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, he showed that love transcends societal boundaries, religious dogma, or politics. The Samaritan, despite their ethnic and religious differences, helped the injured man after the priest, the holy one, the benevolent one, had passed him by. So I've got to ask, is your love at least Good Samaritan deep? Oh, I'll keep asking then. Okay. Ultimately, Jesus demonstrated the greatest act of love by laying down his life for humanity. He taught that greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for another. Now, whether he meant it literally or figuratively, do I dare ask? You hold on to that one there. Because throughout his teachings and life, Jesus presents a profound and challenging vision of love, one without conditions. His love was deep with compassion, forgiveness, and selflessness. How deep is your love? I really mean to learn. Now, I want you to think about a time when someone told a lie on you or accused you of something you didn't do and you lost a job or a promotion. Or think about a time when you lost a friend because of a misunderstanding or someone was unfair to you or angry with you because they didn't know the whole story and didn't care to find out. If you've thought of one instance, you know how hard it is in these moments to respond with kindness and the depth of your love. But how much more challenging would it be to extend loving thoughts and actions toward those who contributed to your deepest suffering? Imagine, if you will, being wrongfully imprisoned for 27 years and having to spend many of those years in isolation, confined to a tiny cell with only a bucket for a toilet and a thin mat for a bed, allowed only one visitor and one letter every 6 months, singled out for specifically harsh treatment by the prison guards, forced to do hard labor in a lime quarry which permanently damages your eyesight, given such poor medical care that it contributes to you contracting tuberculosis and then nearly dying as a result. And all of this over fabricated lies. But in actuality, for the cause of daring to speaking out against injustice. But imagine, after enduring many years of this dehumanization and abuse in prison, later rising to national prominence and a position of power with an opportunity for revenge, and not even revenge, because some of the crimes committed against you and your people were so gruesome, acts so barbaric and inhumane, that they would justify the harshest of retribution. But despite it all, you instead choose to forgive, to restore, and to welcome at your table those who inflicted immeasurable pain. This is Nelson Mandela's life story. He's a human example of how to love deeply. But more so, he's an example of loving beyond belief. We got the talk. He had the walk. Counter to basic human nature, such selfless love is often a result of incredible maturity and deep awareness of our interconnectedness. A love that embraces and elevates. A love that uplifts its objects even when they are at their worst. A genuine love extended to each individual. A love that is blind in regard to class, race, social standing, or merit. Receptive love, regenerative love, redeeming love. If we say we're guided by love, then we say we are guided by the highest form of ethics there is. So let it be our prayer to aspire to love this deeply. And I realize there are many ways we are being challenged today. Many people are fearful, angry, and confused about the constant culture wars that have ensnared us. We're deeply feeling the sharp division in our nation, community, and even in our homes. Many of us are on edge about the coming election, the Supreme Court decisions, the rising ocean levels, and the rising debt. These are indeed some trying times in which we live. And we sometimes feel beside ourselves and don't feel all that loving toward our neighbors or our friends. But in a church where we strive to actually love beyond belief, we pride ourselves in being welcoming, accepting, loving, and nonviolent. Like love, we represent and try to model connectedness. In our services, we speak of our commitment to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. With that said, I have a personal confession to make, and I'm taking some vulnerability in doing so. But I was uniquely challenged when New York Times best-selling author, Unitarian Universalist minister, and chaplain Reverend Kate Braestrup from Maine graced this very pulpit just a couple of weeks ago. Over the years, I've known her and have copies of her books in my home. I've talked about her story in one of my sermons just not too long ago, in fact. But I've also read some things she's written more recently, and I've heard some things about her. And I would have to admit personally, I had some apprehension about what she would say once she was here in this pulpit. But when I got a chance to interact with her, I found her to be inviting, warm, playful, and truly wonderful person. But still, there were others both near and far, even within our church, who wondered why would someone like Kate be given a platform in our church? Someone like Kate. What was Kate's sin? Well, I'm about to out her. And as a member of the Q+ community, it feels strange for me to say I am outing someone. But my friends, Kate is a conservative. Is a conservative. Many of her political views are conservative, and she will likely vote for Trump in the fall. I just outed her. In fact, I had to reach out to her and basically get her permission to out her. And she said it's not all that uncommon for conservatives to stay in the proverbial closet. Well, I know well what it feels like to hide in a closet, to hide who I am. And I wouldn't wish that for anyone. She talked about how she's often more accepted and welcomed outside of our movement than from within. And that hurt, folks. That hurts. Are we at the point where one must hide their identity within our supposedly diverse, welcoming, and inclusive religious community? I hope not. My friends, look around. There are conservatives in our church right now. Just like we have atheists or Christians, Buddhists, and so on. In fact, the person sitting right next to you might be one of them. You might be married to one of them. Now, I know it sounds silly, but my next question is quite serious. Do you think that in a church that aspires to love beyond belief, conservative voices would be heard respectfully and without prejudgment? Or that a productive soul-searching dialogue could take place? I truly believe so. For one, we have always sought to engage respectfully with the larger community, even on difficult issues. We may not be very used to hearing conservative voices from within these walls, but if we seek love beyond belief, then it needs to occur. It needs to happen. For me, a great example of this occurred those weeks ago when Reverend Kate Braystrup delivered her sermon. A sermon that challenged me in all the right ways and moved me deeply. She vividly illustrated that true love manifests through bold, immediate actions. She asserted that real heroes are marked by the scent of their sacrifices. Fire, smoke, sweat, and tears. They dive into chaos, save lives, and embrace the grind that comes with making a real difference. That's love in action. This powerful message has left a lasting impact on me. Now, I may not understand every reasoning in Kate's personal philosophy and haven't traveled every road that led her to it, but that doesn't make me doubt her ethics, her labor of ministry, her servant's heart, and her deep love for people. My love cannot be hypocritical, because then it wouldn't be love. It would be judgment. I truly get that some of us may be confused by why someone would support the candidates or policies they do. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, I just don't understand the other party. I don't understand how someone could vote for so-and-so, and I don't understand how someone who says they're inclusive would support someone who isn't. And I am sure they are thinking the same about you. I think the recurring theme here is that we don't understand. And that, folks, is a perfect place to start our quest. Now, I'm not saying we must agree, but we have covenanted to dwell together in peace. Albert Einstein said, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. When was the last time some of us had a conversation with someone outside of our own bubble? And I'm not talking about an argument, a conversation where we actively listened to one another. An expression of love, along with forgiveness, compassion, and kindness, is the unifying power of listening. And in doing so, we might discover we're not all that far apart. We must be willing to find common ground around the things we share a common responsibility. I'll say that again in case you didn't hear it. We must be willing to find common ground around the things where we share a common responsibility. Here are some steps I learned from the Braver Angels, an organization supporting productive dialogue with participants across political aisles. To enter productive dialogue, and I am paraphrasing in my own words, I have 4 points here. Number one, we must remember our shared humanity in our quest for understanding. Number two, we must engage respectfully, but require respect in return. Stepping back when dialogue turns harmful or the listening breaks down. We must maintain, number three, we must maintain healthy boundaries, discerning when engagement is fruitful and when our well-being is at risk. As peacemakers, though, we must seek peaceful dialogue, never turning a blind eye to abuse in order to keep communal harmony or inner peace. Folks, we practice a deeper love by nurturing our most loving thoughts, our most loving words, and our most loving actions. Because we are created for love, made of love, and in the image of love. Let's choose today to live who we are created to be, beautiful beings of love, and bring peace to our life and the world, its humanity, its environment, and all its living creatures. Author, motivational speaker, and loveologist, and my friend, Todd Houston, said of love, quote, "We need to only go as far as our heart to find it, to find love, and only as far as our neighbor to share it." So how deep can you take your love? The answer is up to you and you alone. And that is as deep as you are willing to dive. May it be so.